So let's get to the head coaches of both respective clubs. And, yeah, 9 titles for Coach Jackson. His last 2 trips, unsuccessful. Coach Brown, your old coach, getting him there in Detroit. And then last year in Boston. And, of course, Stan Van Gundy making his way to the NBA Finals for the very first time. So, obviously, 2 guys that are very, very different in their approach, definitely their own men. Matter of fact, before we talk a little bit more, let's get a little bit of sound from them, and we're going to begin with Stan Van talking about his number 1 obstacle, which is dealing with Kobe Bryant.
You got to try to control the things you have a chance to control. You got to get back defensively, not give him anything easy in transition. You got to try to play his cuts. He's very good without the ball. You don't need to give him cuts for layups and things like that. You got to block him out, not give him an offensive rebound or 2 when he gets back. You got to try to limit his free throw attempts as much as he can, staying down on shot fakes and things like that. Those things are all doable, and if you can take away 3 or 4 hoops there, that could go a long way to helping you win the game.
Well, I think what we learned most about this team is that they're very good in the clutch. They work together as a team. They're a good fourth quarter team, which, we relaxed a little bit the course of the games and let them come back. And those are things I think that we'll have to learn as we go along.
Well, you got one coach that definitely wears it on his sleeve and another one that has a whole completely different style. What about some of the words you heard there from Coach Van Gundy and talking about the things that Denver and Houston before that, and Utah before that couldn't get done?
Yeah, I mean, basically he's pretty much saying, whenever you have the star players, the top players in this league, the best way to guard them is just try to take away what's easy. Make them catch the ball further out, stop their layups, don't put them on the free throw line, all those different things, and that's how you want to approach him. And the one thing he did say is he's great without the ball, and that's one thing that a lot of guys get caught up in is the fact that you're guarding the guy. As soon as he passes, you sort of relax. But with him, you can't relax because he's great at diving and cutting and getting position. And before you know it, he's effective so many places on the court. If he can get any kind of angle or get a little advantage, you're in trouble.
We're a lot of coaches watching, and whether they're high school coaches, youth coaches, or whatever. Does Phil change anything about himself in this series? And I particularly think about the timeout where, during the Denver series, even for some of the Laker fans, are going like, yo, bro, we can use a timeout now. And he's just kind of like, So does that change during the finals for him?
Well, I think it may change. I think circumstances and the game will change. If they're down a game or 2, or maybe a big time lead, like he'll call timeouts whenever he deems it's necessary. But for the most part, I still see him still trying to allow his guys to play through it like he's always done all season long. He's trained them and helped them get to that point where they can kind of figure it out. And whenever he kind of senses that they're not doing that, before you know it, he calls a timeout.
I hear a word with him, but every coach in the NBA has it. There's an arrogance, and you don't get to this level unless you have an arrogance to think you can make stuff happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's but I guess he's proved it 9 times.
Yes, he has.